tell me a little bit about yourself and your background in IoT.
Yeah, well, thanks. My name is Dave Bartlett. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for GE Aviation. I am a computer scientist, so for me it's a lot of fun to be in the aviation business, get my hands on jet engines, but it's all about really taking all the data from jet engines, from onboard systems, from the nav systems, and even beyond the ecosystem of the aviation business, and bringing that data together for analysis to drive greater efficiency for both the assets but also for the airlines, for the aviation business.
And how long have you been at GE?
Yeah, so I started a year and a half ago with GE here in San Ramon, which is where our software center is. It's really the center where we're leading a lot of the software analytics-based work.
Okay. And before GE, did you have any experience in IoT?
Yes. So I came from IBM. I was heavily focused in the Smarter Planet area, which is really about IoT. So I was working on smarter transportation, on smart grid, on smarter cities, on smart buildings. But again, it's the same thing, taking data from the physical world and running analysis on it to really understand in real time what are our opportunities to do things in a more efficient way, one that create better value for our customers, for people that have to live in the physical world. So very much an IoT focus in IBM.
Now, you've been talking about taking the data. From an analytics point of view, what do you think is the biggest challenge today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the biggest challenge today with analytics, of course, the one thing is having access to the data, and right, it's to run the analytics on. And when I say data, it's not just data coming from industrial assets or physical objects, but it's also all the other data that you would want to enrich that analytic with. So it can be environmental data, it can be data about people and how they use the equipment, it can be maintenance history. So that's one challenge. The other challenge is it's just so profound, the impact running this type of analytics on the industrial equipment and how it's used, that it can be changing or transformational for companies in terms of their processes, the roles they play, how quickly they can get answers to questions and what they can do with that. So again, it's not just about the technology, it's about how do you modify roles and processes to really take advantage of those analytics to make your businesses run in a better way. I find that as big of a challenge as it is to doing the analytics themselves.
So like internal processes, you mean, or planning? Or
internal processes, roles. I mean, we've found in our work we can run analysis as much as 2,000 times faster than the old physics-based models that were run very much in serial. So when you get an answer 2,000 times faster, you know, what can you do with it? What other questions can you ask? I've had even pushback saying, well, hey, you know, it wasn't like we were sitting around waiting for the answer before. We had different processes and things we were doing. It was all baked into the process. You're giving me a result that much faster, coming from a completely different angle. What do I do with it? Right? How do I change my process to accommodate that? If I get answers that quickly, what other questions could I ask to enhance that? What new level of decision making? What, you know, the whole thing is, what other questions could I even ask? So there's as much, I think, focus on that area as there is in just doing the analytics themselves that really together create the transformational opportunity.
Well, looking at the bigger picture, what are your thoughts on the IoT platform, or more specifically on the IoT ecosystem? Do you think that's something that's going to happen? You know, I'm thinking something like iOS, you know, in the mobile space, or Android in the mobile space. Is that going to happen, and what are your thoughts there?
Oh, absolutely. I look at this as the next big sea change or next big wave, the last one being the internet. The industrial internet has so much promise, and the ability to do this today is with us. So you know, it talks about how much intelligence is now in the machines that populate the world. Not just intelligence in terms of CPU capability, but sensor technology, effector technology, opportunity for machines to talk to each other, and the ability to process it at the right price point. Thanks to Moore's law, the price of computing, the bandwidth that we need to transmit the information, it's all in place now. And let's face it, the world has so much opportunity, so much inefficiency in it, that once you get going on this and see the opportunity, you know it's going to happen. Now, it's so transformational, it's going to require an ecosystem to really get the full benefit. It's going to require a platform to build the new analytics on that's tuned to the industrial space. So just like if you use the example of iOS and the smartphone as a platform that connects people with knowledge in kind of a social context, what we're talking about for industrial internet is not only connecting people and knowledge, but machines. How do we connect the machines of the world? So to do that in a scalable way, in a secure way, you need a platform. So GE has created a platform called Predix that we're making publicly available this year. But to really for Predix to become the iOS of the industrial internet, we need to make it available in an open fashion. So we'll be doing that. And we'll also be having things like hackathons and whatever it takes to get the momentum going. But there's also important partners that we've worked with to invest in making this a reality. Companies like Cisco, who have worked on creating ruggedized routers that are now Predix ready to accommodate the connectivity we're going to need in the world to connect all of the physical assets, all the machines in the world. Or companies like Intel that have developing logic on the chips that accommodates the edge devices, the edge processing we're going to have to do, the machines where a lot of this will be performed, so using those capabilities as well. And then there's other technologies that come to bear in terms of security technologies, right? I mean, as we connect all the machines in the world to the internet, there's an exposure there, and so we want to do this, and GE really has got to play a role, not just as securing our assets, our products, our platform, but kind of the adult supervision in this state, because it's the whole ecosystem that connects. We have to make sure it's all secure. The saying that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So overseeing that. So we recently did an acquisition of WorldTech that is able to secure SCADA systems that are remote out in the field, managing equipment, whether it's in the oil business or it's in wind turbines. Wherever the equipment is, it's been secured. But we'll constantly look to partner and build our capabilities in that space as well. So those are some of the examples of the ecosystem, some of the partners we're working with. Connectivity, of course, there you're looking at AT&T and Verizon and companies like that. Obviously, we're not going to try to reinvent that, but we need to have that level of connectivity.
So Dave, how would you explain the difference between a platform, an IoT platform, and an IoT ecosystem?
Right, so a platform really is that a software platform really enables application developers to build applications quickly and efficiently, just like you would on a smartphone. You don't have to worry about a lot of the underpinnings. You don't have to worry about the connectivity factor. You don't have to worry about a lot of the security factors. You don't have to worry about form factors so that it's able to communicate with any form factor in the field, whether it's tablets or phones or desktops. So the software platform provides a lot of those services that frees up the application developer that builds analytic applications on top of that to do it quickly, efficiently, at low cost. Because really we want that part of the business to focus on bringing value to the industrial world and not have to worry about a lot of the underpinnings. And it's basically common code construct that serves that. So it makes sense to have a software platform that provides that. Again, much in the way you'd find a smartphone. It's a useful analogy, although the platform for industrial internet is very different than a smartphone. because we have to think about how do we connect the machines and how do we do, that's very different than just connecting people, and right, so. Now the difference with an ecosystem are those partners that both build on the platform and provide extensible capabilities to that platform to really make it applicable in the greater world. So, it's not just all the machines of the world, but if you think about all the protocols and the way information is presented in equipment that's been operating over decades, right? They've built up these different protocols, different ways to present information, including a lot of handwritten information. So how do you really connect with that in a meaningful way, in a real-time way where you can optimize or affect changes in a meaningful time frame? No one company is going to do that. It's going to take an ecosystem of companies working together to pull that off. An ecosystem of companies that also can share a common platform as well as one of the ways we come together.
So if I'm interpreting you correctly, what you're saying is the platform is the software hub. I mean, it's where everybody's going to be, what they're going to be basing their technology on, whether it's hardware or whether it's software. And the ecosystem you're saying is, with that platform as the hub, it's all the companies that are participating. Is there more to it than that, or is it simple? Is that as simple as it is?
Companies that are participating, and there's different levels of participation. Mm-hmm. So there's companies that can provide software constructs. There's companies that provide hardware constructs, and both. When you think about the industrial internet, a lot of it is how you interface with machines out in the field. So very useful to leverage a lot of the new wearable technology, not to mention the GPS, geopositioning technology, spatial technology. So how do you pull that off on a global basis? How do you enable the new global workforces of today, of tomorrow, as we move forward, so that everyone can have expertise at their fingertips, so you can see what that field technician is seeing wherever you sit in the world, and participate in the diagnosis, in ensuring that the machines are well maintained and as efficient as possible. So really working with a set of partners that can help do that. And if you really think about managing the industrial world, it's all of the partners that play in that space that have industrial equipment, and that we partner with to provide services to the global citizens. So,
yeah, and what comes to mind is, once you have an ecosystem, now you're being able to bring a lot of forces to bear on a problem, and generally a problem requires more than just one company. And so maybe just quickly, we have a little bit of time left, but maybe just quickly, I'm thinking about the business model, and by having an ecosystem and you're bringing a lot of companies together, I suppose all together you're solving the customer's problem. How does that work out, though, from a business model point of view?
Yeah, so it's, the old world was, the walls went up, it was very competitive, there was not a lot of collaboration. But in the new world, and the internet really opened up a lot of this, but particularly true in the industrial internet, and I saw that in my previous work as well as here. The way you're going to amplify collaboration is working with other companies. The way you're going to amplify innovation is through that collaborative effort. There's just so much opportunity in this space. If you go with the old business model of holding everything close to the vest, your opportunity is going to be much less than if you open up, work in a more open way. So the business model really, I think, the smart business model in the space to maximize your opportunity and maximize your opportunity to help customers and help people have a better life is through that collaboration. That's the way we're going to solve the problem. It's just too big, it's too complex, the space is too big. The second point is that the amount of software that's going to be required to pull this off, and the compute power and bandwidth, the old models aren't going to work either in terms of cost, cost of developing software, cost of standing up the hardware. So really moving to a lot of the open stacks, the open source, the models that we've seen stood up in Amazon and Google, to where we're going on cheaper hardware platforms to stand it up, but also using constructs like Hadoop that are more open sourced, where you have more people contributing, where that enables you to do things at lower cost, that's what's going to accomplish this transformation, because there's that much work to do in the space. So the business model definitely gravitating, just to summarize what I said, to more open constructs, more open collaboration between companies where there used to be more protectionism, to really open up the space and achieve what we really can in this together, right?
So if I look at it from a customer point of view, then the customer, what they care about is an outcome, right? And so they want to have something done. Now what the platform and the ecosystem is doing is orchestrating all these players together to basically provide that outcome.
Right.
So I guess from a customer point of view, GE would be dealing with the customer basically on that outcome, but then on the back end, I suppose from a business point of view, you'd be then sharing the wealth with your partners, or can you get any details of how that works?
Yeah, so it's I think the other thing that's changing in the business model is moving from not just selling a product or a service. And going to a customer today, it's like you're going to have a kind of a hard sell if you say, I want to sell you some analytics, right? In addition to this product I want to sell you. What customers are looking for is how can you affect their business, and that's what we mean by outcomes. So how can we help you as a business be more profitable? How can we help you as a business innovate more quickly? How can we help you as a business provide a better service to your customers? Those are the outcomes that have the higher value, that take this bigger collaboration from a set of partners together. So having a higher value to the company, and maybe sharing in the model in terms of risk on those outcomes. If we deliver the outcomes, then we share in the financial benefit, and that sharing goes between the ecosystem partners. So it's I think it's a much more exciting space. I think it's much more exciting to help a customer achieve better outcomes than it is to sell them a product, sell them a service.
No, I agree, and since it's such a big problem, when you're not just selling, for example, a drill, you're selling the decoration of the house, and so you need to be able to bring everybody together, and that's the importance of having a solid platform and ecosystem.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for the time. I
Sure.
appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.